ISIS is pushing back against Iraqi forces trying to recapture the city of Tikrit.
It's hard to watch the evening news without getting the impression religion may lead to the ultimate destruction of civilization. But how much of the violence being perpetuated in the name of God comes from the Quran? Or how much comes from failed U.S. foreign policy and social, economic, and political forces in the region?
Tonight I want to emphasize that 500 years of science have demonstrated that God, that vague notion, is not likely. It's irrational to believe in God.
Has science rendered belief in God to be a Bronze Age superstition? Or are further scientific discoveries making belief in God even more plausible?
Well, religion I describe as a poison because I think it attacks the very heart of our integrity. It says that we wouldn't have any knowledge of right or wrong, any ability to distinguish between good and evil if we were not afraid of a celestial dictatorship.
Is our innate knowledge of right and wrong evidence of God? Or is morality nothing more than a useful social construct?
9 million children die every year before they reach the age of 5. Any God who would allow children by the millions to suffer and die in this way, and their parents to grieve in this way, either can do nothing to help them or doesn't care to.
Is belief in an all-powerful, all-loving God compatible with the amount of evil and suffering in the world? Does religion accomplish more harm than good? Has science rendered belief in God obsolete? Do we need God to be moral? Is belief in God compatible with pain and suffering? These are just some of the questions Tim Morgan tackles in his book, Thank God for Atheists: How the Greatest Skeptics Led Me to Faith.
My first pastoral job was an associate pastor at a medium-sized church in Clearwater, Florida. I worked for a senior pastor who seemed like a nice fellow, but didn't seem to want to lead. Then the truth came out that he was having an affair with a married woman from the church. The guy was racked with guilt because of his secret double life. No wonder he couldn't lead. After that debacle, I went to California to plant a church. I really believed I was following God's will, but got hit by one major setback after another. First, I was burglarized and my own things were stolen. Then someone robbed the church and stole all the equipment we needed to run our services. After more setbacks like that, I found myself saying, God, if you're out there, you're mean. But that's an uncomfortable position, not liking God, that is, because while I was mad at God, I still had to consider that I might have to face Him one day. So I decided it'd be easier to simply not believe in God. But it wasn't sufficient for me to simply not believe in God. I needed logical reasons to support that decision. So I picked up the works of the great atheists like Nietzsche, Bertrand Russell, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, Richard Dawkins, etc. I was sincerely looking for a rational reason to reject God. But I found their arguments lacking. For example, I noticed Richard Dawkins only offers a false dichotomy that you must either believe in God or in evolution. But he completely ignores Nobel Prize winning scientists like Francis Collins, who see no conflict in believing both. Similarly, Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens say a lot about the negative impact of religion, but they distort history and omit key facts to make their arguments. The shelves at Barnes & Noble are full of books of atheists writing to atheists and Christians writing to Christians. This book uniquely includes both viewpoints under one cover and lets the reader decide the truth for themselves. One chapter summarizes Dawkins' views. I even let him edit it to fairly represent himself. Then I discuss some of the problems with his argument in the next chapter. This is a book where the non-religious reader is not going to feel preached at, and the religious reader is going to hear some thought-provoking arguments. It will challenge your thinking regardless of what you currently believe about God.